And yellow, I'm back with the progress reader here for the Colbo reader. It's a little bit nighttime here in the garage here, testing it out without very good light, obviously. Which means light when you have this, right? So I turned it on. A little bit disappointing here. So basically, don't mind the user interface here because it's real. Okay, so let's take a look at it. Upon looking at the test here, it tests for no meats, no vegetable. I mean, it tests for vegetables, no meats, no spices. So basically, the things I mean, a monitor that's going to test for food you need to test for apparently. It doesn't have it. So I can go over, what it does do, I suppose. But when I tested it on some simple grape juice, probably the best brand, and it was staged. I mean, like it was, sitting in the refrigerator for about 5 months. Open container has turned into somewhat percept alcohol. It said it was a good. It was a bad. So we'll have to check it out, and I'll show you firsthand what it looks like. Okay. So first of all, we go into the device here. This is what it has there. It has the food, water, radiation EMF, and then the settings there. The settings, you can change the color mode, the audio to say if it wants to say something out loud or not say something out loud at all. And of course, the food there. We can go over that right now. And also, you can change it to black and white colors. So we go over the food here, and there's two button switches on here, which is the up or down and the enter button there. So let's go down on the food here. If you can see it on the screen. So go down the food, vegetables, cabbage, greens, melons, fruits, citruses, berries, back. So you go all the way up. Let's go back to, let's see, favorites. You'll get apple. That's a preset saved one. Or you go to roots, and I'll show you what you get. No spices there, so you get beetroot, garlic, ginger. And if you don't know anything about food, I recommend you going to a food class before you buy this sensor or tester for what's considered sulfates. Those derivative points. So it's not anything new. Something like a garlic chain, or something that would be spliced in the World of Warcraft. Would basically rotate within the seed or the pollution of the plant. So go back, and I haven't tested the roots or vegetables so much. I've tested the fruits portion. So these are the vegetables there, just normal ones, but it doesn't say, what kind of tests it does. I mean, test the sulfates, but does it exactly test the sulfates? I mean, this trademark for dual sensor. Cabbage, I'm not entirely sure. So, I mean, this is what it is. So, apparently, this is made in Canada. And I mean, technically, these vegetables are already known carcinogens if you were going to test them. So, and then the sketchy thing is, I mean, you look for a YouTube video on this matter already. What the fuck is this? I'm sorry. Yeah, you're going to find out there's not really many videos of this. I mean, these are already known carcinogens. There's no reason you should be on a nuclear area if you didn't know how to eat food or have food. There's no reason to do that. It's time to move if you're having that issue. I mean, I've used to live there, or to live in the area. And of course, food can grow in the area, but the reality is if you don't know these greens, like what's edible, what's not edible, not like it's a dare thing, dare to keep people into eating bad foods. It's we don't trade for trick, for food for non-food, right? People invest in businesses and corporations and trade food for food. They eat the best food or the best quality food they can. So you could test these things. You could test them. Again, if you have a plot of land like within 25 miles of a site, that says like growing like a pumpkin patch here to make pumpkin pies, maybe not the best policy to have this here to test for the food. You're probably going to want maybe real equipment. This 3-prong thing. I mean, it's so. I mean, if you look at it, there's a silver diode there, and then there's two like brass or copper. I'm not entirely sure. I mean, it's like saying like, I have a brass, or, I have a penny, or what a copper sensor, then I have a nickel sensor, or, like a silver sensor, or I have the gold sensor, right? Doesn't really do much. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you could have a piece of gold settle and, kind of make a ringing noise and say whatever container, is it fit that parameter, could do the same thing as a copper one, right? So it's an alloy, right? Because it's diminished, or zinc bronze one, right? Because it's the one that makes the most ring. So I mean, that's it for the sensor here. So I'll go back and I'll show you the fruits. Okay, so let's go to the fruits here. I'll go to the grape. That's an example of what is real and not real. I mean, since there's so much of a problem, I mean, I guess the market is applicable to make something like this and use it technically. This is hooked up to Wi-Fi. I've updated the system so far. Unless they're getting some more updates going on here, I'm probably going to return this device. It's not going to do very much. I know 100 times more than this device here. So, and then also I'll show you the fruits here. These are the fruit settings. I'm going to go to the top of the list here. These are fruits you can just never eat in a normal European or American diet, somewhat. So apple, apricot, avocado, banana, dragon fruit, durian, felicia, figs, grape, guanabana, guava, herring fruit, jackfruit, java apple, guana fruit, kiwi, logan, lychee, mango, mangosteen, nectarine, papaya, passion fruit, peach, pear, pineapple, plum, rambutan, cypriped fruit, star fruit, tamarind, and back. So, I mean, in this instance, you got to ask yourself, are you the vegan who is in like the mood just to eat fruits and vegetables, or I suppose work on or live near a nuclear facility, or work at a nuclear area where you need to only test fruits and vegetables, and then some starches, I suppose. It's really it's a curious question of why would someone go to such troubles to make this and forget food like meat or broths. I mean, most people eat broths, right? I mean, animal fat is in most things. I mean, when I talk to them, this is ABS, right? But like the screen diodes, do they have animal fat? I mean, if your thing is to work through the nuclear radiation, test products, nuclear radiated, I only eat fruit and vegetables, and I only do that, or I have to test and make sure all this stuff is non-electrical current. I mean, this tests full time, and if you're good with micro USB, I mean, this is the set device. Sort of does the job, sort of doesn't. But I go to the transitional idea of what the resting opposition or composition of electrical current is. It's a carbon format, so it's not like it's dual or flat or anything like that. It's carbon footprint. If you've ever heard of the Korean War, I mean, this is one aspect of the Korean War. Transitionally from carbon to non-carbon, copper to non-carbon, right? Because these things were not existing. These electronics, weren't existing. They went to carbon footprint. What does that mean? It means that it uses a carbon resistance, to the electrical current. It's makeover of the electronic, basically the power structure. Basically, that means that it is, it's polar, or it's dual, span. But it also means that it's transitioning off of lower quality signals, so that the transitional current can be more optimized, and also it can take less precious resources from other elements, because all these elements go together and fit together. Right. Okay. So we'll go to the grape setting here. The grape setting. Okay. So this is what it shows up. Insert probe, push. So push the device here, and then this prong comes up, obviously. So take this cup, and it's empty, as you can see, washed out so much, and then this let's use grape juice. It's in 5 months, opened, so we'll show you. Well, I'll show you what this is. And I already did it 25% for the test. It says it's good. Would you drink it? I mean, if you want your tummy to be sour, unless you're not taking and it'll get you straight. You don't take iodine tablets to make your tummy feel better. you take brain medications that deplete your thyroid and then refresh your blood and then block dopamine in your head and a few other things. But I'll show you here. And yeah, that's the medication you probably took if it made you feel 100% better. Iodine pill is going to put you to sleep. It's going to make you transitionally sick, and then whatever. So let's just test this device here. Okay. So test the device here. Testing. 25%, and it says excellent. Okay, so and I already tested against water, a little bit of water. That's 30%. And just the water itself, my water awful, it's 600%. So would you return this item? I would 100% return this item. If you can come up with one reason why you would need this item of a vegetarian's device, no, because I don't need an item that only tests for vegetables just because it comes in a crate and they're vegetables. No, I need meat to survive in a nuclear holocaust. Even the littlest bit of meat helps, or cheese, for instance, broth. Even people, like if you were eating people in the situation of like hypothetically I could only test for vegetables, I would want people on my device. Or at least some more like maybe squirrel, or something more realistic. I mean, except cat, they're all feral, right? I wouldn't eat it, right? I would probably do something else. But dirt as dirt is, and nuclear, vegetables possibly, they're going to make you very sick, and animal fat is very protective in this case and situation. So there's that, or pesticides, or other natural compounds, probably going to make you somewhat sick during an animal infestation or nuclear festation, if we put it that way, and it's going to end up killing you. So, or namaste, right? 0%, zero decay, zero theta, not approved, right? And then what if this like flicked open and then pricked you? Would you be dead then? You might be dead. If it was something more dangerous than nuclear tide or tide water or something like that, it might kill you. Do these tests go together and you calculate? They don't. They apparently don't test and calculate together. So it not do much. It's not really worth the investment. I would say it's probably a good return at this moment. And I can show you the EMF reader. I think it's been calibrated. I can check. I can show you radiation setting here. And I'll go back here just in case you're like, oh God, it's the best thing ever. When you hit that button before, it goes to this radiation EMF, hit the radiation button, the detection button. Oh, this opened again. Okay. And then you go to the radiation button here, and then you click this, and then the 24-hour setting opens up, and then you open that up, and then it says current, and then it gives you the current. It says 0 inside the garage here. Before it was saying 0.2 or 0.3 in the house. And then this is the recorded radioactive material. So if you are apparently a child or an adult and you're in this situation, it is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my entire life. You only eating fruits and vegetables, and you only need to test a Geiger counter for a human being, and you need to test the current electricity for as a vegetarian fruit eater only, and your water, obviously. Most insane thing I've ever heard of in my entire life. WTF, IRL. So is the insurance think you liable for this if you have this and you test? Probably wouldn't accept these kind of results. In this device, it sounds like the precipice of like this company's life if they aren't going to check up the diagnostic and they're going to resell this device that flicks open in a second. It most confusing. I mean, liable me not. It real scenario situation. Pipe industry is the most corrupt in the United States, apparently. If they didn't understand the demographic and opening a business in Houston, and opening the company in Houston, I mean, they probably wouldn't comprehend, the concept of, company breaking in half. But there's the EMF reader. It's less electricity now than ever. I tested on a solar panel. It's like, you hold it like this to a solar panel, it's 75. You hold it like this, it's 120 or something like that. So, and then the current, I checked the current of the device, put input, output of the amps and volts. I think it was like 0.64, and then the other one was 1.2. Don't call me on that, but this, it is what it is. It is what it isn't. I mean, would I go and spend my hard-earned money and spend $100 on this device? Not so much, unless you know how to reboot an operating system and test it out. Apparently, I mean, that's one optional, and I've TWIC, and I can check. Doesn't exist. Bang for the buck. A tin can, a tin alloy. The congressman in the tin can. Is it a phone? Does it make calls? No, it's I don't know. See you later, I guess. So yeah, that's my review of the Colbo test device. So it is what it is. So yeah.